Hello, I'm Boz, and I'm co-owner of Boz Saddlery with my wife Annie. And for years, I think we have now a total of 450, 500 different items that we custom build in our shop. And so many different customers have always wanted to know how to adjust this and how to clean that, basically how to ride it. So what we're going to try to do today the best we can is to come up with some steps on how to fit the pads, how to adjust the saddle, where it should sit. Then I'll go get a horse. We're going to show how it goes on the horse and do some riding, show you some different things. And it's kind of like we call the system of Boz U-Edit. This is really a small company. It's a family-owned company. We've been doing it probably for about, well, I've been doing it since 1975, so over 30-something years that I've been working on this stuff. I worked with a gentleman named Monty Foreman, without a question, has done more for the horse world than anybody I've ever met. And he taught 95,000 students. Out of that, 22 of us became instructors, and I believe there's only 2 or 3 of us left in the world today. So you'll see with our technique, and I now have changed it and added things and my own thoughts, and came up with a new system called Bozzage, B-O-Z-Z-A-G-E, and it was designed to be 95% more effective than dressage towards training a top performance horse and a super rider. And we're going to show you, because of the gear and our technique, why I can help you and your horse get 95% more. Without saying much more, I'll just start going through some of these things we have hanging up, and this is just kind of a quick thing on most of the things we use. This Halter Bridle combination, we're going to bring a horse out. We're going to show you why I designed it. I don't take credit for tying the rope halter. I don't think any of these guys can. What I do take credit for are the 3 things I added to it. One, the knots over the nose. There's 2 nerves on each side that makes them drop. 2, the side pull rings, which you'll see to be able to turn it into side pull. And 3, the bit hangers. There's 2 bit hangers on each side to be able to hang a bit. I don't think there's anything on the market that will do more than this particular halter bridle combination. Now, there are some people that are starting to copy it, but they're a little bit late. I've been doing it for 20 years. So, you know, it's fun to come up with a lot of new, wonderful ideas and see these guys, after so many years, decided that it is one of the best things out. And we'll get into that. We have little nose bands that will fit on that, and you'll see how this works on that halter bridle combination with a nose band that adjusts and attaches to the halter. And we'll get into those when we bring the horse in. Now let's talk about putting on a bit. Here's a little bit that I have, you know, that we were talking about with my reins. We leave everything attached to running martingale, and this is my Halter Bridle Combo. Now what I'm going to do to set this up, I'm going to take this offside and pull down and push up on the right. And the purpose for that is that it lengthens this side that I'm going to walk the mouthpiece around. So now I come in and I'm going to unsnap here on this side. You can see, I'm going to snap this bit into this bit keeper on that half moon. I come around this side with my hand over the top and my forearm against the side of the face. Do not do this. If he swings and hits you in the mouth with this bone, you're in trouble. So you want to take your hand to be able to guide it. I'm going to reach down with this other hand and my thumbs, open up his mouth and walk the bit in. Once I walk it in, I unsnap this the left side. And once you get these snapped, to let you know if the bit is adjusted correctly, stand in front and try to pull the bit out of his mouth. Sometimes you have to put his nose against your chest, and when you take all the slack out of the head stall, it should rest in the corners, and when I do, you can see it's still too tight. So there's 2 ways to loosen it up. I could either loosen it up here with these little half moons. In this case, I'm just going to put a little bit of slack up here in this knot and let this drop down, that when I pull on both sides equally, it rests right in the corners of the mouth, and that's what it's doing, okay? So if he was to gallop and open his mouth, the bit would stay right at the corner of his mouth. He wouldn't open his mouth and the mouthpiece come down that far away from the corner, okay? Now, when we do that, then what I can do is that I can attach these reins. I'm going to snap this martingale over the other side so you don't have to look at that. I have a little drop nose band, but I'll put that in my pocket. Now he's got the bit in the halter, okay? So now what I'm going to do, I can attach my reins to the halter, and even though he's carrying the bit, and work mostly, so this in this case is just off side pull and these knots. And these knots, as they work, if I pinch these knots, come on, come on. Let me get him back out here. I take these knots and I start working these knots, get him to drop his head. There it comes. There it comes. There. There. These two knots will work on these nerves and teach them to drop off the bit by using that side pull. If I want to, I can reach through, bring this ring to the inside and snap my rein. And I'm still using mostly knots, but a little bit of bit will work here off this. Where I really prefer is half halter, half bit. I attach both of them. The purpose of attaching both of them, I'm getting knots and the bit. And if by chance this was to ever unsnap, I still got him caught through the halter to be able to turn. We haven't had that happen, but maybe once or twice. And if he's a real rat, then I unsnap both of them and snap straight to the bit. See, so we had one behind, two in the middle come out, three half and half, four at the bit, and then the last is make it a gag bit. I take my reins and attach them up above. I run my reins through these two half moons, and imagine it going in here along the side of his face and coming out the bottom one. What it would cause it to do is it would cause it to be a gag bit and climb up the mouth. And as it climbs, it would cause the head to come up on a horse that's overbroke at the pole. So we can turn it into a gag bit if we want to. So we really have one out here, two in between, three half and half, four straight to the bit, and five a gag bit. And then six, just using the halter. If you wanted to, you could just take all this out and just use the halter as a side pull without any bit. But in this case, we're going to carry the bit. You watch, the mouthpiece goes in. This comes up and snaps. And the purpose for this mouthpiece is to be able to go over the top of his tongue and not crush. So if I can, I'll get these snap. I snap this side, and I come over here and snap this. And I make sure that when I make my snaps, that the spring load, if I'm riding, is to the outside, so that the solid piece here is against the bit and doesn't open the spring. There have been people that have reversed it and put the spring load to the inside, and when you rein or work it, this bit would open up that snap and they can slide off. Okay, so you want to make sure that when you snap this, I just stand in front, I take it, I take my thumb, I snap that one, and if I was to pull on that rein back here in the saddle, then what I would do, it would be working off the solid shank, not off the spring. If I can, I don't know if I can get him to open his mouth, and you can shoot in there. Can you see inside what it looks like on top of his tongue? Can you see in there? You'll see that it goes on top of his tongue and rests perfect. If I can sit there and open, keep him left. And because of that, if I pull this rein left and right, it gets him, his tongue sits in that port, and it gets him to his tongue will go left and right like a rudder. And what will happen is that he learns the guide off that before you can take the shank out. And even if you pull hard, it doesn't scissor and collapse. And then the last thing that I put on before I'm done is my little nose band. If I can find it, I had it here. And this little nose band keeps it, goes in front of the bit to keep his mouth shut. It comes in front, comes up over the top, it goes underneath. I then take my little snap, I come back here, I snap it. This goes in front, and then I take my lead rope off. And once my lead rope is off, I take my halter and I bring that little nose band through it, the little knot, and I let that hold that in place, and the noseband is in front, so it lets that bit work behind. There's absolutely no pinching behind his lips. It doesn't, and this keeps his nose shut so that he gets more responsive to the drills and the things that we want him to do off the bit. Okay? And it works left, and you work him right. Left and right. The last thing is the martingale. We would throw our reins up. We always ride with a martingale. We come down through the center. We snap it here. We take the slack out, and with all the slack out, it'll stop at the throat, and after we pull it up, it comes to the top of the shoulder. In this case, it's a little higher. The shoulder is 4 inches down. If you put your fingers, you'll feel the shoulder right here, just below the withers. I'll turn him this way. You'll feel it right. You come down with your hand, squeegee, you'll find it, draw a line straight out. When you pull this up, it stops there. It's a little bit long in this particular horse's case, so we're going to take it up to that spot. That when I take the slack out and come across and it stops here and it stops the shoulder, then that's it. As long as he keeps his corner of his mouth at the shoulder and below, it does absolutely nothing. When he decides to get his head up and you're pulling, it will cause this to pull down through this ring, pull down on the bars, bring his head down towards his shoulders, and then it just hangs. Because once his head gets down here, then it doesn't do anything, it just hangs. But the second that he decides to throw a head up, then you're going to see that it goes through. And if you didn't have this, the reins would be up here and you just keep gagging him and he just keep running and he just runs through a fence. The top riders in the world, I don't think they go to the bathroom without a running martingale. So that's pretty much the adjustment on that. We're going to go ahead and put in a different tape and then bring out the bareback saddle, show you how we adjust that. Then I'm going to take him to the arena and I'm going to show you how to ride a little bit and see how it goes.